See, I did it again. Hi there. I'm Lilia Lewis, and welcome to another edition of New Day, New Beginnings. You know, I always like to start off asking you a question. And my question today is how how high do you want to go? And when I ask that question, I mean how high do you want to go as far as if you have a project you're trying to complete or a dream in your mind or in your heart that you know you can do it, but so how high do you want to go with that? I mean, and it all starts with your attitude. I mean, we have all kinds. You could have a negative attitude, a negative outlook, a positive attitude, a positive outlook. It's all about how you think because what you think determines what you feel. And that in turn triggers sometimes how we act. So it all begins with our thinking process. Now, you know how when you go somewhere, strange place, you're meeting new people and everything like that. And you ever see somebody and you think, I don't like the way, I don't know, it's something about the way they're acting. Well, that's their attitude. Maybe that's how you perceive them. Maybe they're really a good person, but you have to get to know them. But you see, sometimes what you're thinking, it triggers what you feel, and then what you feel triggers how you act. So that's what people see. They only see how you're acting. They don't know what you think. They don't know what you feel. They don't know none of that. They just know what they're seeing at that moment. So the thought process is very important because it could take just one thought alone, and that can give you a whole negative attitude. Or, depending on how you're thinking, it could give you a whole positive attitude. You could go somewhere and think, oh, this is going to be exciting. I'm going to meet new people. This should be fun. Or if you're kind of a negative thinker, you might think, well, here I go again. Let me see what's going to happen here, you know, but you're not excited about it. And when you go in the room, people pick up on that. Either you're coming in the room with a smile and you're greeting people as you come into the room. Hi, how you doing? Or you come into the room and you just come in and you look around and I guess you're almost trying to find somebody you can identify with instead of identifying with whomever you see. All you have to do is be cordial. That's me. That's how I am anyway. But many times, you get the wrong impression of people by first impressions because maybe that's not really who they are. They're just uncomfortable in a crowd. You don't know that. But the bottom line is it all begins with our thinking process. And just as one thought can give us a negative or a positive attitude. And when I said, how high do you want to go? Because I made the analogy like, do you want to soar like the eagle or do you want to stay grounded like the chickens? Your choice. But it's a good choice. And a lot of times, many people use the expression, is your glass half empty or is it half full? Well, if you're a negative thinking person, you might say it's half empty. But if you're a positive thinking person, you might say it's half full. But my question is, what would you say? What would you say based on your current, whatever your lifestyle is, whatever's going on in your life? Would you say your glass is half full or would you say it's half empty? But anyway, my title for today is Your Attitude Dictates Your Altitude. It's all in your presentation. It's how you present yourself to people. And that determines, well, are you going to be successful? Are you going to do it, be good at this job, or you're going to work on this project? Well, doesn't It just goes on your mindset and how you perceive it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, today I'm going to be reading from a couple of verses from the book of Exodus. And I chose this because, well, you'll see when we read it, because we're going to go to book 19, chapter 19 in the book of Exodus. And I'm going to start in verse 4 because it all begins, this is telling you about Moses when he saw the burning bush. Now, this is about the Lord talking to Moses at the burning bush on Mount Sinai. But he's telling Moses to go down and tell the people of Israel to remind them of how good he has been to them. So let's go to verse 4. And I'm only going to read a few verses and then we're going to kind of go over that. So, verse 4 says, he wants Moses to tell the people, now you have seen what I did unto the Egyptians and how I bared you up on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. That in there is the whole story. He's already telling Moses, you remind them of what I did to the Egyptians. You know what I did. So that means he's reminding them of the Red Sea. Now, he's telling them to remind them of the Red Sea, but let's talk about the Red Sea for a minute. So, what did they see when they first saw the Red Sea? The first thing they said was, oh no, what are we going to do now? We're going to get caught. There's no way we can do this. Already, their glass is half empty. But when Moses saw the same thing, he prayed and asked for direction. And he followed God's direction, which he told him to do with his staff. That meant automatically his glass was already half full. So the Egyptians, they're there at the Red Sea, and the first thing that comes into their mind, defeat. Oh, we'll never be able to make this. And that immediately gave them a negative attitude. Then they started complaining and grumbling and fussing with Moses and said, why'd you even bring us to this wilderness? We could have stayed in Egypt. At least we would have had a roof over our head. We would have food to eat. And they went on and on and on. But when Moses saw the Red Sea, what did he do? The first thing he thought of was God. The first thing he thought of was God. And this gave him a positive attitude right off the bat because he was already a man of God, a true man of God. And he trusted God. He trusted him completely. And that's why he followed his directions with the staff. And no doubt, he had no doubt in his mind that God would protect them right there at the Red Sea. So his glass was already half full. Now, although they all saw the same thing, the Red Sea, they all saw how big it was, but the same thing triggered totally different thought patterns, which triggered two different outlooks and two different attitudes. One of Moses and one of the people. Now, another example I wanted to share with you, was the point about trusting God and creating a positive attitude. And this is found in Isaiah chapter 40. Let's see. And I'm only going to read a few verses. We're going to go to verse 28. And we're going to read just the last three or four verses of that. And that's under the heading of comfort for God's people. Now, I chose this because so many of us try to do things through our own strength, our own knowledge, or if you want to call it that, because we're so busy trying to do things on our own. Oh, I'll figure it out. How many times when you say something to somebody and you ask them, well, how are you going to do that? And he's, oh, I don't know, I'll figure it out. I hear that all the time. They don't never figure it out because they either give up on it or they try something and it just backfires. So they didn't figure it out, even if they thought about it. Whatever they figured didn't work. So then what do they do next? They just give it up. And this is telling you how to not try to do things on your own. We're always saying what we know and what we can do, and I can work it out, and it'll be all right. These are things people say, I guess, just to end the conversation. But anyway, let's go here and look at verse 28. And it's telling you right here, it says, have thou not known? Have you not heard that the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, he faints not, neither is he weary. There is no searching of his understanding. Well, don't you know? Why do you keep trying to do stuff on your own? Why do you keep trying to figure things out? Why do you even think you can? Because that's all you know. But it says here, everlasting God. And everlasting means forever, enduring through all time, all things. And it says, you can't understand him. He says, there is no searching of his understanding. And that means we can't think like God. Nobody can. He's in a class all by himself. You can't think like God. You can't outthink God. You can't come close because God can see everything before us. He knows our past. He can see our past. He can see our present. And he can also see our future. He already knows what the plan is. You're just trying to make a plan or figure out a plan, but he already knows the plan. So it says, don't be trying to understand him because you can't. It says in verse 29, it says, he gives the power to those that are faint. He gives you what you need to keep going. And to them that have no might, he increases their strength. And even youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. And utterly simply means absolutely. They're going to get tired. I don't care how old they are, how young they all get tired. Why? Because only God can give them continuous strength. And look at verse 31. What does it say? But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up, there it goes, with wings as an eagle. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. So all it's saying is give God a chance. It's just trying to tell you to stop doing things on your own. And that's why I said, did you want to soar like the eagle or stay grounded like the chickens? And it's only telling us stop trying to do things on our own, learn how to trust and believe in the Lord. Because God is the only one, and I underline only one, underline that, who endures forever, not us. We can't endure anything without the power of God. He gives us every day we get. So we're not in charge of anything. He gives us all we need when we need it, but we can only exist if He allows us. He's allowing us to be here today. He's allowing us to share this time together. He didn't have to wake us up this morning. So let me ask you something. When was the last time that you had an idea or a project, for real, that you really wanted to finish or even start, but you just didn't have that know-how to do it? When was the last time? And then what did you do? I mean, did you quit because you couldn't figure it out? Did you give up? Did you feel defeated? Did it make your attitude change from a positive, bubbly attitude to a negative attitude because you couldn't figure it out? That's what they're saying. Stop trying to figure it out. That's the very thing. But now I'm going to ask you another question. When you were at this point when you couldn't figure it out, did you ever even think to ask God for direction? Or did you just give it up? That's important. That's important because that's where you make your mistake. You're still trusting yourself, and yourself does not know. So this brings me back to what I always say: go to Him in prayer, ask for direction, ask for the wisdom or the knowledge that you need to bring it all together. But you can't do it unless you pray and ask for these things. But then after you do that, just kind of sit quietly and meditate. Think about it by yourself, to yourself, imagining. You can already imagine how it could end up, but you've got to just be quiet for a while, knowing what you've asked for, and knowing that if it is His will as well, He will give you what you want. Now, that comes into play. Your will isn't the same as God's will. Because if it's the same as His will, He will. He will give you what you need. He'll give you the knowledge that you need. He'll give you a guidance, a path to follow. Do this, do it that way. All this will come into play if it's in His will for it to happen now. Now, that brings me to the next thing, which is the timing. Because they always say timing is everything, but it's not our timing that's everything. It's His timing that's everything. It's got to be His way. He does what He does is always at the right time. We may think it's the best time now because it's in our mind now. We're prepared, or so we think. But see, His time's always right, regardless of what we think, how we feel. Oh, I know I can do this. No, you don't. You just think you can do it. So many times people say, oh, I can do that. Even at work. Oh, I could have do that. I can do that job. I should have put in for that. They don't know that. They just know what they think or what they feel. But God already knows. Maybe you're not ready yet. He's not saying no. Maybe He's just saying, wait a minute. Maybe He's got something else to show you first before He leads you into your project or your dream. A lot of people think they can do stuff and then they get the job or get the project going on and then they get stuck. Oh my God, I didn't expect this to happen. Of course you didn't. What do you know? That's why you got to trust in God, not yourself. That's the bottom line here. That's why you've got to always keep the Isaiah 41 verse in your heart and in your mind. That was the last verse we read. It says, wait upon the Lord, for He shall renew your strength. You will mount up with wings of an angel. Run, not be weary, and walk and not faint. So all it's saying is wait. Wait on the Lord, no matter what you think, no matter what you feel. If He's not directing you, if you don't feel that direction, then maybe your timing is a little off. Okay, so now that we've gotten that squared away, let's go to Psalm 103. Now, this is under the benefits of trusting the Lord, the benefits of the Lord, because this is going to tell you all the wonderful things that God does for us and can do for us every single day. Now, let's start in verse 3 because it says, He forgives all thine iniquities. That means all your wrongdoings, not some of them, not with any stipulations. He just forgives them. And when he forgets about it. You know, a lot of times people say, I forgive you, but they keep bringing it up later on. God doesn't do that. When he says he forgives you, it's done. He forgives all your iniquities. He heals all thy diseases. He forgives all thine iniquities and diseases. He redeems thy life from destruction. So to redeem it means to free you, free your life from destruction. Who else can do that for you? That means he's protecting you at all times because the next line says, He crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies. And loving kindness is simply a tender affection. And to be merciful, that you know what that's being lenient or compassionate to any offenders, which would be us, of course. He satisfieth the mouth with good things, meaning words. You read them, you speak about them, you think about them, so that the youth is renewed. There it goes again, like the eagles. If you follow his word, obey his word, you soar like the eagles. Verse 6 says, The Lord executeth righteousness and judgment for all that are oppressed. Righteousness means being free from sin or guilt, and judgment is his final decision. He always has the final decision. Nobody else gets that. Oh, it may seem like it down here to us, but he knows what the final decision is going to be. And he does that for all who are oppressed. And to be oppressed means being under a cruel or judgment, punishment. And that's what the Egyptians were doing to the Israelites when they were in Egypt, because they could. They were the oppressed people because they were under cruel, unjust exercises of power. We see that today. That goes on all the time. Certain people want to just run everything. Do as I say, do. Don't do as I do as I say. He made known his ways unto Moses and his acts unto the children of Israel by showing them all the wonderful things he did. He gave them water when was none. He got them through the Red Sea. He gave them manna when they had nothing to eat. He was showing them his acts. The Lord is merciful and gracious and slow to anger and plenteous in mercy. So he's always compassionate. He's always lenient toward us, gracious. He's pleasing. He's godly. Mercy is to refrain from punishment. And he's slow to anger. How fast are you to anger? Somebody makes you angry. How long do you hold a grudge? A day, a week, 5 weeks, years? Some people have grudges so long ago. If somebody asks, well, why are you so mad at them? Half the time, they don't even know. They can't even remember. Or maybe they're mad about it because their parents were mad about it. They don't really know the real situation, but they're mad about it because their parents are. Verse 9 says, He will not always chide. And to chide means to speak angrily or be displeased. But if you push him too far, you will see the wrath of God. He gives us chance after chance after chance. But when you're determined to disobey and do what you feel like doing, that's when he gets a little annoyed. He will, neither will he keep his anger forever, because he lets us off the hook all the time. If he didn't, half of us wouldn't be here. He has not dealt with us after our sins, nor rewarded us according to our iniquities. And our iniquities are what? All the wrong things we did. If he rewarded us according to how we were acting, half of us wouldn't be here again. So he's been lenient over and over and over again. For as high as the heaven is above the earth, so great is his mercy towards them that fear him. Meaning have reverence to him, respect him, and adoration for him. And he also removed our transgressions from us. Our transgressions are a violation. Violations of the commandments, the laws, anything we do outside of the will of God is a transgression. Like as the Father pitieth his children, so the Lord pitieth them that fear him. Now, no person on earth can give us anything that we've spoken about today. These things, everything that I've listed, can only be given to us by God. And that's why it's so important to stay focused on God and focused on his word. Now, I got a poem I want to share with you right quick, and it is called A Message from God. Do you really want to receive God's best? I'm sure that we all do. But there are some requirements that must be fulfilled by you. First, you must be determined that second best won't do. Then you must focus on Jesus. He's the only one who can bring you through. God said, dry your eyes, wipe your tears away, meditate on my word each and every day. Learn to trust and obey my word, then do everything that you have heard. I said, I'd not leave you or forsake you. My promises are all true. So let's go forward together and see what great things are in store for you. Try it. Be like the eagle. Follow God's word. Know that you want to soar. Only person that can take you there is God. Trust him, believe him, have faith, and do as he says. That's all it takes. Not hard, just takes a little dedication. So read over this and just remember, all you have to do is read his word and follow. Follow and believe. And my closing words for today are, don't say what you can't do. Say what God says you can do. And until next week, I'm Lelia Lewis. Thanks for joining me.